So now let's talk about where a good place to set up your Motus Hand for doing therapy is. The first thing you'll need is to be within 10 feet of an electrical outlet to power your device. You'll need to have a table, coffee table, or countertop to set the Motus screen on for use. You will not need a TV or anything like that. That's completely included in the device. You'll also need a place to sit comfortably within reach of the Motus screen so that you can touch it during therapy. The last important element is that you have a comfortable place to put your affected arm during therapy. The foam pad can be very helpful in this. You can set it on your lap, on the surface or table where you have your screen, or you can just put your arm on the arm of your chair. It's important that you have room for your wrist to move all the way up and down while you're doing your therapy. Now let's start plugging everything in. You remember this big paper document from earlier? This walks through how everything's connected and what you'll need to do to power on your device for the first time. So having that available will be helpful. The first thing you'll want to do when powering the Motus screen is to grab the cable, and you'll want to undo this cable wrap that keeps everything neat for shipping. Now that we've got the cable unwrapped, we'll grab the power cord, labeled as so. We'll plug it into the wall, and when we do that, we'll know that we've done it correctly when the console comes on and we'll hear some noise. We'll now see a number of images on the screen, and the boot up can take up to 5 minutes. For example, you might see some text in the top left corner here. That's just part of the normal boot up process. You can disregard it. Once you see the screen, you'll know it's time to start plugging in the hand. Let's go ahead and do that now. You'll need to unwrap one side of the Velcro straps so that we can get access to the cord. Now that we've got the straps undone, it's helpful to flip over the Motus Hand. From here, you can take the cable and unfurl it so that it's not tangled up. What you'll need next is to grab the end of the cable. You'll see that there's a cable B and a cable A. We're going to plug these into the back of the screen. Right. We'll plug those in behind the screen at the points labeled cable A and cable B. Cable A and cable B. Now let's plug in cable A and cable B. To do this, I'm going to move things around a little bit so you can get a better picture of what this is like. First, let's connect cable A. Cable A is this gray hose with the white connector on the end. We'll plug it into this port labeled cable A on the back of the console. You'll press this in, and it may take some force, and you'll hear a click when you've done it correctly, like so. From here, we'll plug in cable B. Cable B is this black USB cable. It goes into the port labeled cable B here. Note that this has a correct orientation, so you might need to try it once or twice to get it lined up right. Grab the screen and rotate it so we can get a better look. Once it's done setting up, the first thing you'll see is an inspirational video of other stroke survivors like you with the successes they've been able to achieve using the Motus Hand and foot. After the video, the first thing you'll see is the terms and conditions. You've already been explained all of this by one of our clinical specialists when you've spoke to them previously. Go ahead and hit accept terms. Next, we have some goals that are important to keep in mind while you're doing your Motus therapy. So we want you to go through, read all of these, and think about them. First, I will do my best to achieve my daily hours goal. I'm going to go ahead and check that box. I recognize that hitting my daily hours will bring me closer to long-term recovery. Yes. I understand that my progress is related to the number of therapy hours that I complete. By signing this, I'm committing to my own health and recovery. I understand that my recovery may slow, stop, or regress if I stop putting the hours in therapy. Next, we're going to select our range of motion. So this is your best estimate. If you know, that's great. You should go ahead and select it. Otherwise, this is kind of giving us a starting point for how much movement you have in your affected hand. So if you have no movement, that's 0 to 5 degrees. If you have a lot of movement, that might be 50 degrees plus of total range of movement. I'm going to go ahead and say minimal. Next is the goal for how much time we want to put in every day. We recommend that most people start off with about an hour of therapy. If you feel like that's overwhelming, go ahead and say that you're a beginner and you want to start a little bit slower. We'll work up towards that. Or if you're ready for the challenge, you can go ahead and ask for 2 hours a day. We'll start out with a recommended of 1 hour. Let's go. Next, we're going to set the settings for the console while we're using it in gameplay. First, we'll adjust the volume. I'm going to go ahead and set that to the lowest setting here. Then we can adjust brightness. So if you're using this in a well-lit environment, I'd recommend using the highest brightness. If you're going to be using this at night, you might want to adjust that to be a slightly lower brightness so it's not so harsh on your eyes. I'm going to go ahead and hit next because I like the settings as they are. Now we're going to select which hand is affected by your stroke. In my case, during this demonstration, I've been pretending as though my left hand is affected, and I've neglected it while we're doing this setup. So I'm going to select left. It will be blue to show that that's the side we've selected, and I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now it's going to boot up into the main menu. Now that we're on the main menu, the first thing that's going to pop up is another welcome. So here, it's going to kind of talk about how you can get the most out of your Motus Hand. It's important that you are persistent and you put in the hours every day and you keep going. We're going to go ahead and hit next, and that's going to open us up to the rest of the menu. Now that we've completed all of the onboarding, we're going to walk through how to actually put on your Motus Hand.